Thanks for staying with us. It's time to go to our first hot topic. And when we were rounding off the newspaper review, we were just on that topic. And let's look at it more critically now. Senator Ndume has raised some dust over President Bola Tinubu's political appointments, accusing him of violating the federal character principle as outlined in Section 14, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution. He was speaking on television. He stated that the appointment made so far failed to reflect Nigeria's ethnic and regional diversity, which the Constitution mandates for national unity and inclusiveness. Ndume emphasized that his criticism was not personal, but a constitutional obligation as a lawmaker. He stressed that the figures supporting his claims are publicly available and should not be dismissed. The senator warned that ignoring such constitutional provisions could have serious repercussions, urging the president to address the imbalance in future appointments. Anticipating backlash, Ndume noted that he expects attacks from political loyalists, but maintained his stance as part of his oversight responsibility in the National Assembly. He reiterated that every Nigerian has the right to protest and hold leaders accountable, and that failure to address these concerns could erode public trust in the administration. Our guest this morning is Mr. Nick Agule, public affairs expert. Good morning and welcome to the program, sir.
To all our viewers globally.
Okay, Ndume has complained that there is nepotism in this government. The present administration or the present president is appointing only people from Southwest and his boys into key positions, and that it does not reflect the federal character provisions in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What's your take?
Thank you very much. So, to be fair to President Tinubu, he's not appointing only people from his Southwest geopolitical zone. Constitutionally, he is mandated to appoint a minister from each state, and I think he has met up with that constitutional provision so far. But President Tinubu's problem is that his appointments, where he is not constitutionally tied to appoint like ministers from each state, explicitly stated by the Constitution, his appointments have been lopsided. It is clear to any discerning eyes that President Tinubu has favored his Southwest geopolitical zone with more appointments than any other region in Nigeria. And for me, it is very sad that someone who put himself forward as a Democrat, freedom fighter, a person that put forward himself as somebody who is fair and equitable in his dealings, in Lagos State, where he was not obligated to appoint anybody outside the state, he appointed people like Mr. Acule, who was his budget commissioner or advisor, who is not even from Lagos State, appointed other people who were not from Lagos State, but maybe from the Southwest zone, into his cabinet, like the former vice president and all of that. So one thought that President Tinubu had a liberal mind, and that when he comes to the national stage, he will seek out Nigerians who can offer quality service to Nigeria regardless of where they come from. But unfortunately, I don't know whether he's learning bad lessons from President Buhari, who was his predecessor, because President Buhari was also not fair in the distribution of key appointments in his government. He favored the core northern states more than any other region. So I don't know if President Tinubu now takes it upon himself that he is now the president of the Southwest region, and it is his time now to lead the Southwest to recover what they lost during President Buhari's regime. But if that be the case, then it's very sad, because President Tinubu will then be proving himself to be a man of little mind, small mind. Because if you are not a man of small mind, and you are elected as president of Nigeria, Nigeria becomes your constituency. Nigeria becomes your local government. The whole of Nigeria is your local government. So you look further afield, because in every ethnic group in Nigeria today, there are competent people who can come into government and deliver everything that is needed to be delivered. But instead, he now forgets that he's president of Nigeria, and he's carrying on as if he's an ethnic champion, as if he's fighting the cause of the Southwest, as if he's leading the Southwest to now take their pound of flesh from Nigeria. And to me, that's quite very sad that this is happening now.
Okay, well, that is your response to what Ndume said. What is your response to the response of the presidency? Because all they could say was that Ndume is a hypocrite, whatever that means. Maybe they were also referring to the time when Buhari was doing this, and possibly that he did not voice out and say that he was appointing people from his geopolitical zone. So how would you rate the level of, not even the level, how would you rate the responses of the presidency all the time when any issue is raised about this present administration? For Ndume, they said he was a hypocrite, and that's all.
The response by the image handlers of this government, of the current government, is shameful. I think they should all be sent on training to places such as maybe the UK, France, Germany, to go and learn how to respond to critics of a government. You don't respond to critics of a government by insulting them, by calling them names. You respond to the issues. So like what Senator Ndume raised, which is his constitutional right as a Nigerian citizen to raise. And not only that, he's a sitting senator of the Federal Republic, whose role is also to speak on behalf of the people. He is the voice of his constituents, legally empowered so. So what the presidency needed to have done was to respond to the issues that he has raised. And the issue is the lopsided appointment, the nature of the lopsided appointments that President Tinubu is making. Because like you will see in the NNPC recently, even though he went to appoint somebody from the north central as it were, from Kwara State, he still chose a Yoruba person of Kwara State descent. So the president needed to respond to the issues and perhaps explain to Nigerians the rationale behind the president's appointments. That is how you do it in a decent society, in a democracy. But coming out to insult people, for me, I have to say that it is matured people, some fathers, some grandparents, who are coming out with this kind of thing. Let them not forget that history records everything. So by the time that this our generation is long dead and gone, there will be children who in the next 100, 200 years are studying the history of Nigeria. And they are going to say, this person as a presidential spokesman, instead of responding to issue, was busy insulting people. And that is how their names will be tarnished in the history books, because by then society will probably be different from what has happened now. Because you will expect that President Tinubu will need to abide by the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution. The Nigerian Constitution is very explicit in Section 14, and I dare read Section 14, subsection 3 of the Nigerian Constitution. That section says the composition of the government of the Federation or any of its agencies and the conduct of its affairs shall be carried out in such a manner as to reflect the federal character of Nigeria and the need to promote national unity. and also to command national loyalty, thereby ensuring that there shall be no predominance of persons from a few states or from a few ethnic or other sectional groups in that government or in any of its agencies. I didn't pick this thing from anywhere. It's the Constitution of Nigeria, Section 14, subsection 3. And if President Tinubu swore to that Constitution, to abide by that Constitution, you can see that he flagrantly disobeys this Constitution. For instance, look at the economic management of Nigeria as of today. The economic management of Nigeria, when they say the economic team, the economic management team of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who are the members? One, Minister of Finance is from Southwest. Central Bank Governor is from the Southwest. Accountant General of the Federation is from the Southwest. The Federal Inland Revenue Service Executive Chairman is from the Southwest. The Customs Controller General is from the Southwest. The Immigration Board, even though married to a plateau, is from the Southwest. The Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission is from the Southwest. The Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration is from the Southwest. If you look at these agencies that I have noted, they constitute more than 90% of the inflows into Nigeria. More than 90% of government revenue is controlled by these institutions I have mentioned. That's the oil industry, that's the taxes, that's the central bank, that is the maritime, and it's just people from one ethnic group that occupy all these positions. You don't do things like that. To the point that we now have 3 ministers, 2 of them ministers, full minister from one state, in Ogun State. 3 good ministers. So like the whole of the southeast region, it's got 5 ministers. And one state, Ogun, has 2 ministers, with 2 of them full cabinet ministers, not a minister of state. How can you explain this? So this is taking nepotism to a different high level. And to be honest, I thought President Tinubu was more urban, more learned, more exposed, more liberal, more nationalistic than what is proving to be now. He's proving to be an ethnic bigot, which unfortunately is very shameful, I must say.
Well, what does that say about the National Assembly? Because Ndume is part of the National Assembly. These are the people who vet these people that eventually become the chieftains of whatever institution you have mentioned. But they don't say it at the floor of the House. I'm sure that he's not the only one thinking it. He is the only one who has come out to say it, but I'm sure a lot of them are thinking it. But when these people are brought to the National Assembly for vetting, they say nothing about it. Is it fear? Is it that it is not a good channel? Once the person comes there, you do the needful, obey before complain? Or what does it say about the National Assembly that should check this kind of things?
Mr. Yango, we cannot plant thorns and then sit back and are expecting to harvest oranges. I think in Nigeria, that is one of the problems that we have. Our expectations are way beyond the reality. Like, for instance, it is nightfall and you are sitting out expecting the sun to shine. That is an impossibility. And when the sun doesn't shine, we spend so much time analyzing why the sun is not shining at night. This is the problem we are facing in Nigeria. What am I saying? Mr. Nyangu, we were here when roundabout in March of 2023, after President Tinubu was elected, when he was the president-elect, you will hear that prominent Nigerians, even those who you will respect as Democrats or who know what to do in a democracy, we are all talking about President Tinubu selecting the leadership of the National Assembly. And we were then greeted with some very disturbing images of Senator Akpabio kneeling down before President-elect Ahmed Tinubu. No, Nyangu, if you saw those images, they are in the public domain. I mean, your editors, if they could quickly find them, they can put them up for all Nigerians to see. A man who was aspiring to lead an independent arm of government that is at the same level with the executive arm of government was kneeling down before the president-elect to try and get his blessings. And he got his blessings and he became the Senate president. And we sit back here and ask the question, what is National Assembly doing? What do we expect the National Assembly to do when the leadership of the National Assembly is being anointed by the executive branch of government that the National Assembly should act as checks and balances upon? Are we not asking for sunshine in the night? Because, you see, we sat down, we looked at it, we did nothing, we allowed it to happen. And since it has happened,
well,
what has been our response?
Well,
you know,
I
yes.
do know that if not all of them, at least a good number of them, up to at least 75%, have the president's signature cap, showing that they are the voice of the president, as it were. So it's not surprising. We've been crying even on this program that it's just a slap on Nigerians, telling us that there's nothing we can do. We are all his boys, so we are going to do whatever his bidding is and all that. But also, now that Ndume has come out, a lot of people have always been saying before now that the Constitution that talks about federal character, and I'm sure in the wisdom of the founding fathers, they knew things like this could happen, and that's why they put that clause inside there. But some people have been saying that so long as you're competent enough, no matter where you come from, you should be given the opportunity to do what you're supposed to do. Do you also think along those lines, and if that is the case, that means that we need to do something about our Constitution and remove that? Do you think that's a clause that should be removed, or a provision that should be removed from the Constitution, or it should be left there for obvious reasons? That's the federal character, I mean.
Okay, so for me, I am a stickler to the laws. I like to follow the laws, right? I have lived in the UK for 20 years. I have never been stopped by the police, never pulled over by the police. I am not on the police records at all. And it's not because I am afraid to be on the police record. No. I am generally a person who likes to follow due process. So I don't have a problem if people are agitating that the provision of federal character in the Nigerian Constitution is flawed. I don't have a problem with that. The Constitution provides the means, the ways and means by which it can be amended. So I expect those people to put private member bills through their representatives in the National Assembly to try and change the Constitution. But up until that happens, we have a Constitution in Nigeria by which the president swore on the holy book that he is going to defend. And that Constitution provides for federal character. So up until the Constitution changes, that federal character principle must be obeyed. You mentioned the National Assembly, but only the National Assembly. The Constitution also creates the Federal Character Commission. It's a creation of the Constitution. And that commission has got employees who are working there, right from the chairman down to the lowest man. Why are they also not saying anything? But you know what, Nyamgo? The National Assembly will not defend us because we know how they came to be, including their leadership. The Federal Character Commission will not defend us. We Nigerians must defend ourselves. And the Constitution empowers us to do so. If you permit me, I'm going to read two more subsections of that section 14 of the Constitution. The first of the subsection says, this is subsection 2, 14 subsection 2. It is hereby accordingly declared that Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government through this constitution derives all its powers and authority. Sovereignty is for Nigeria, belongs to us. It is from our sovereignty that government derives powers. And then, of course, he says that the participation by the people in their government shall be ensured in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. And let me not go away before talking about section 2B of that. This thing say the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. So here we are. The constitution says the security and welfare of the people is a primary objective of government. We are not getting that. The sovereignty belongs to us. The government derives powers from us. We are allowing the government to exercise powers over us when we should be the ones exercising powers over the government. And the constitution guarantees us the right to participate in the government. They are stopping us from participating. Even if we want to raise our voice, they will use tear gas to muzzle our voices. The National Assembly, like you say, is the one that should take issues with the president and even impeach him if they notice that he's doing unconstitutional, undertaking unconstitutional acts. They won't do it, but the Nigerian people have powers over the National Assembly. The Kogi people recently showed us that you can recall your representative to the National Assembly. You can recall your House of Rep or Senator. So why are Nigerians sitting docile and watching these unconstitutional acts when they could start collecting signatures to recall all the 109 senators and the 360 House of Rep members, so that if they don't want to take action on the executive, we will take action on them. It belongs to us. Are we ready? If we are not ready, then we are not ready to stop suffering. Our suffering will continue. It's back to us.
It's just unfortunate that signatures are paid for nowadays, and you can never know who is sincere, who is doing it because of some political gains or something. That's where we are now. We do hope that that day will come where Nigeria will get to the promised land, as it were. But this is where we have to wrap it up, Mr. Agule. We'd like to thank you for your thoughts this morning.
Signatures. Well, signatures, can I put in one word?
Just
before you go,
briefly,
please. Can I put in one word?
Go ahead, briefly.
Signatures are, because it's a very important point. We're educating Nigerians on how they can take back control of this country. Signatures are collected, correct, and they can be paid for, correct. But there is a process where INEC will take BVAS machines, biometric voter accreditation system machines, to that constituency, and everybody that put their signature must come forward and put their thumbprint and validate that they actually signed this petition. That is where everything is validated, you know. So if Nigerians are ready, then let us face the National Assembly members, who will then face the executive. Without facing them, I don't think not anything is going to come out of this, unfortunately.
It's all right. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Mr. Agule. We're speaking with we're speaking with Mr. Nick Agule, public affairs analyst and also an energy expert, on the accusation of one of the senators that the president is lopsided in his appointment. He's not respecting the federal character that is in the Constitution of Nigeria. And that's what we're discussing now. We'll take a break, and when we return, something else will be up, and that is U.S. slams Nigeria's import restrictions on agricultural and pharmaceutical products. Stay with us.